Hi there. I wanted to make a video explaining Mutant Year Zero as a setting, mostly as a setting, really. Just what it is if you're new to it. This is in regards to the main Mutant Year Zero game, the original one, where you play as, indeed, by the namesake, mutants. There, 200 odd years into the future of a post-apocalypse. There are other games like the Mutant GenLab Alpha, Mutant Mechatron, Mutant Elysium, and soon coming Mutant Ad Astra. As the time of making this video, of course, not out yet. This being in 2021, Q1. So Mutant, the original Mutant, is a remake of an old, I think like late 80s Swedish RPG that was like remade for its anniversary, brought back, and it uses the proprietary Year Zero system. I won't go too much into mechanics except to say it's a D6 system where you need to roll sixes for successes. But there's a lot more that plays off of it from that, and it's like easy and a good system, I think, all in all. You can do a lot with it, especially for the right sort of settings. And something like this, where you have this setting and that survival element and scavenging for food and drink and parts and things, it's great. It all plays into that nicely enough. So setting wise, yes, you play as mutants together in a colony. The game runs as a kind of management sim, basically, and the colony is called an ark. That's your mutant name for it. Your mutant fellows, you all refer to each other as the people. The whole idea of humanity as a past thing, i.e. Fallout styly post-apocalypse, is really like the humanity is kind of they're gone. There's no sign of them. They're a myth, essentially. They don't know if there's any other survivors out there. They don't know, they haven't made contact with other colonies, other arcs and that. But there's just the legend of Eden, this sacred place for the mutants to go. And I won't go too much into that because that's more the scope of the actual book's campaign. So they live together within the ark. The gameplay revolves around two different elements. It revolves around the one element of basically running the ark itself, so the base management sim parts of it. And what you do with running the ark is basically the ark has some stats and you can improve it, those stats, to change the way of life through the ark. And set about projects that the NPCs, the people, can undertake. And you as a group decide what projects they're going to undertake. And different things can come along and help the ark and threaten and challenge the ark. And, that sort of, there can be, events of things that may come up. So the ark itself is kind of a personality, an extra character within the game. The other element, of course, is the exploration. So you can go out and explore a zone, and that's done basically as a grid crawl. You can choose one of the pre-made maps, or you can basically overlay a grid over, a map of your choosing that you know of. You could choose your own city, something like that. That's what I'm going to do. And remember, it's in the post-apocalypse, so you kind of know where you are. Everyone gets to explore it, and you could take turns with the players to explain what it is and what that landmark now looks like in the far future post-apocalyptic setting. Is it still there? How has it changed? Is it just a crater? And sometimes it will be. Who knows? As part of the grid crawl, you can, as the GM, roll on a series of charts to create different sorts of content within each grid, i.e. threats, supplies, the kind of things that they're going to find there, and the players can use their skills while exploring that grid thing. For instance, the Stalker whose main purpose in the game is being able to figure out the best way through these zones and the safest way through the zones, which is a bit like Artyom and the other scout types in the Metro series of computer games and books. And so you've got that side of it, the Hex Crawl. The game is laid out for the GM using 5 plot points. All of the Mutant books use a number of plot points. It can start with the first plot point. In fact, you can kick it off that way. And the final plot point, the plot point 5 element, finishes the campaign. Once you run it, that finishes it. The speed at which you drop those plot points determines the length of the campaign. So, for instance, you could really draw it out by holding back the thing that's going to set off that next plot point, whatever that is. And if you hold it back, the campaign is by definition longer. So you can run it based on how into it you think the players are. So you could speed it up that way. There are a number of add-ons for the game, which we didn't get with the other Mutant games, only with Year Zero. So it's going to be a bit more concentrated, a bit more fun, probably, resultantly, of being able to get around and like, I'll choose some of those grid points that some of those add-on packs will relate to. These are purchasable add-on packs that you can get. And you can check my links below for like a whole bunch of product content affiliate links, which will also include some of those. The rest of them you just kind of have to look up, but that's the ones that I could find for sale at least. But yeah, you'll be able to see the full listing if you check the full dealy-do of what's available. But yes, you can stick these add-ons together and it's like you might say, yes, one of those squares, that's where I'm dropping that add-on pack. You know, it's a little sector over there and it just contains this little bit here that's they're going to run in. So there's a tiny few handful of planned things as the plot points, and there's a few other tiny little add-ons that you can put in and place strategically or place wherever you like for the players to find. But other than that, all the other squares on the grid are basically between you and the players to come up with. So it is very much a loose sandbox experience, and it's nice to just have those few already pre-made elements just locked in so that you can guarantee that it's not going to just be fully all of that, that you know that there's going to be something else that you can, you know, rely to come back on, and get a bit of the kind of other qualities you get from pre-making something, or premeditating something, maybe is the correct term for a GM. And you know, I'll leave it there. You've got a pretty good idea of how this works, and I'm doing a ton of videos on Mutant generally, and on how the whole thing works and the dice and all the rest of it, and you can find those videos in this channel. And you know me, when I champion a game, I champion hard. And of course, it's the same system like Alien uses. Alien uses a slightly modified version of the Year Zero engine, but you know, similar experience. I'll see you at the next one, guys.